If I may shift gears for a moment, gentlemen. Coach Ditka versus a hurricane, who would win?
Ditka.
Hold on. The name of the hurricane is Hurricane Ditka. Everything okay? No problem, just having a heart attack. Almost over. Done. Very good. Very nice recovery. Now, how many heart attacks is there for you, Todd?
That makes a baker's dozen for me.
Jeez, I've only had 6.
Well, something to shoot for, Carl.
It is the One Star Cowboys podcast coming to you on a Tuesday evening. Okay, so it's a little early in the week. We're going to get you ready for the Bears. We'll have a special guest joining us in a few. I'm Kevin Turner with John Machota, Saad Youssef, and Kent Garrison. Coming off a victory. We're 1-1. And I guess we should start out with Jadeveon Clowney. I know y'all got a chance to meet him, talk to him a little bit. Everyone's a little bit of a debate about what number he's going to wear. All kinds of good stuff. John, your take on the Jadeveon Clowney signing, how all that went down, and where we stand now on the defensive line.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should be expecting to get 2014 first overall pick Jadeveon Clowney. I think they should expect somebody that's going to play 20, 30 snaps a game, that's going to rush the passer, be a solid player, know what he's doing. So, I think the communication thing was a big issue over the weekend. I think it was more on the back end, but the back end also needs help with pressure on the quarterback. And so that's why you do a move like this, is that you're trying to get some kind of help. And I think Clowney brings that to a certain extent. Again, this is not obviously like replacing Micah Parsons. This is adding another player to the mix that goes with Marshawn Nealon and Sam Williams and Dante Fowler and Donovan Ezeraku and James Houston, that you find a combination that works and you keep those guys fresh, rotate them in 20, 30, 40 plays, whoever is playing well, and you get consistent quarterback pressure. That's why you do a move like this. Sounds like it's around $4 million. And if he hits all the escalators, it could be worth up to $6 million. So it's not like it's some big major, investment. I don't think he hits the ground playing 20, 30 snaps right away in Chicago. If he plays at all in Chicago, I think it'll be very limited, just because he hasn't been in a training camp. He's been training down in Houston at a place where he's been training the last 8 years. And he said that he feels great, but he even knows it's not football shape. I think it's a good, solid move that very low risk, and it could be potentially high reward. Maybe he has a season like he had 2 years ago in Baltimore, where he had 9.5 sacks and like almost 20 QB hits. Like, that would be phenomenal if you get that type of production. And if you don't, what did you really invest? So it sounds like the Cowboys were the most likely place for him. He visited last Wednesday, like what he saw, and then had some conversations with, his agent did with Jerry and the Cowboys on Sunday before the game. They got an agreement done, and then so obviously Jerry shared it with us after the game that they were adding Clowney. So yeah, that's where kind of things stand right now.
Yeah, I kind of like what they're expecting Clowney's role to be, and what is realistic for him, because he played with the Panthers. It's not, I know, he played with the Browns a few years ago when you're playing with Myles Garrett, but he's not coming into a situation where he's only played with the superstar pass rusher on the defensive line and all those kind of things. I feel like his role is going to be pretty realistic from where it's been in the past as well. It's not super foreign. I'm just curious to see how Matt Eberflus rotates the defensive linemen, if there's specific roles like passing downs, not passing downs, because the run defense has definitely been better this year with Kenny Clark coming in and everything, but the pass rush has been an issue. And I think that's like John said, I mean, that's a major issue for the back end as well, especially when you're already limited without Deron Bland. So I'm curious to see what his specific role is going to be, and if they're going to have him for passing downs, run defense, how that's going to work out.
I did kind of laugh when I was listening to the media gathering, because what do you like about Dallas? And the first thing he mentioned was the secondary. He said, I like the secondary. And then he went on to talk about, I don't know how much gas I have in the tank. I have some. But and then I thought when he said that he was really excited about the 7 primetime games, I was like, okay, this guy has become the genius of the 1-year contract. Although this could be more, right? Hypothetically. So I just think that was kind of funny to me. But yeah, no, exactly. If anyone, just any help there is good. I think you could get help there, and it's a whole other conversation. I guess we'll go to it now. I think you get help there by, calling a few blitzes. Just week 2, so forgive me, but you got to rush Russell Wilson more than 7 times. And I don't know, do you have any vibes from just talking to players? I know it's early in the season, but I know you get the coordinators later in the week, but their insistence on just rushing 4 is just not going to work long term. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, John.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't know if I think it's too early after 2 games to say that this scheme doesn't fit the players. I think that with any new coordinator, any new coach, any new coaching staff, it's going to take a little bit of time to get things going. And so I think it could click eventually, but until it does, you're going to have to find some ways to get after the quarterback. And even if that goes against what you typically do, I don't know how just sitting Kenneth Murray and Jack Sanborn back playing traditional linebacker spots is anything better. What is that stopping?
Yeah,
Russell Wilson is not good anymore, and you made him look like he's a top 5 to 10 quarterback in the league. So, and you're very fortunate to have won that game. So you should be looking around at any possible change that you should make. And, I asked Brian Schottenheimer about this on Monday. I was like, where's your level of concern with all those big plays given up in the pass game? And he maintains that these are easy fixes, that this isn't anything major. It's communication things, stuff like that. And I just feel like we've seen stuff like that on and off over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's all different coordinators, whether it be Mike Nolan, whether it be Dan Quinn, Mike Zimmer, now with Matt Eberflus, like there's always this communication stuff that comes up at some point. And so the pressure up front obviously helps. That erases a lot of issues on the back end. So when you don't have any pressure up front or very little, that's going to make those problems look even worse on the back end. And I seriously don't know how they can. I really don't know how they can look any worse than they did on Sunday. Like when we're talking about the NFL, I'm not talking about like you going up to watch your local high school team. I'm talking about in the NFL. Like, you know who Malik Neighbors is. He's the only player that you should really have to worry about. You know who he is. He should never get behind you. He shouldn't. Your safety should always be deeper than he is. And he should never be a guy that just runs right past you and makes big plays like he was making. So if you're allowing that over and over again, I wonder if it's as easy and as quick of a fix as they say it is.
Here's where I give Eberflus a little bit of grace, at least early on in the season, is he went through all of OTAs and training camp thinking Micah was going to be part of this. And Micah's not just a player that, I'm talking from a scheme and planning standpoint. Micah was there. We all kind of thought they were going to re-sign him at least deep into training camp, at least a couple weeks. Micah didn't request the trade until August 1st. So that's a week or 2 into training camp. So you basically spend the entire offseason with Micah in the mix. And that's a hard player. I think Micah changes your defense in terms of how you approach it, how you generate pressure. You don't have to come on that many blitzes if Micah is the one that, is kind of the focal point of that pass rush. So I'm curious to know like how much of Eberflus's entire game plan had to kind of be thrown out a little bit if he is going to rush more than just 4. Just to give you guys a stat that I'm sure you guys saw as well. Which team in the NFL is leading in pressure rate? Do you guys know? It's
Green
the
Bay.
Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, Seattle. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence, the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, my.
49.4% pressure. Seattle is using a 4-man rush 83.1% of the time and blitzing at a 31st rate of 13%. Only team blitzing less is Cincinnati. So, yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence fitting in well in Seattle there. So, Micah,
if he was here, it wouldn't be any different.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
it wouldn't be if Lawrence was here. I mean, because that's why I said about the several coordinators. There's been over and over again. It's almost like you sit there, and the only way you can look at it with all the different players is like maybe this is just a Cowboys thing,
Yeah, but But I think if Lawrence is there, I think he's instantly probably your best pass rusher on that unit right now in terms of what they have. But again, that's not as much, I'm looking hindsight, as much as you would do with like even Micah, because Lawrence was never going to be part of this 2025 team in the first place. But just a little fun fact.
Yeah, and then I'm also looking at the back end. I'm looking at 7 explosives on Russell Wilson as quarterback. I don't even know if New York wants him to be their quarterback. They did not play week 1 against Josh Allen, week 2 against Matthew Stafford. They didn't do that. And honestly, watching that game on Sunday made me think, like, man, what was Philadelphia doing? Like, why weren't you guys throwing more? You know, like, why you should have been chucking the ball all over the yard. And maybe that's one of those things where they're cautious to a certain extent with Jalen Hurts from time to time, you know, and they lean more in the run game, and they're like, hey, we're not going to throw the ball up there very much, and unless it's just, you know, an obvious play or whatever. But I'm fascinated to see Sunday, because what I saw this past Sunday reeks of, oh, this is a get right game for Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. They're about to go off. Like, if you play like that, if you're going to allow Russell Wilson to do that, to look like, that's the best I've ever seen Russell Wilson, even with Seattle. People say, oh, that's the best game since he was in Seattle. I don't know that he even played that well in Seattle. Like, he was in, other than the jump ball, 50-50 ball that he threw that got picked off by Donovan Wilson, which he probably at that point was just like, everything's working against this defense. I'll just put a blindfold on, spin around 3 times and throw the ball up in the air and it'll get completed. So, but it was just, for him to look that good, that's the alarming part.
I think that was a career high in passing yards, right? I believe so. The most he's ever thrown.
Let's not forget the time that he threw it backwards for a 14-yard loss. But yeah, you're right. I agree. I was like, and also not a lot of pressure. Aside, do you still have that pulled up? Do you know where the Cowboys were on in terms of blitz percentage?
No, I'm not sure, because I was just reading a tweet from like a Seahawks person, so I didn't have the whole list. Yeah.
I know they have to be towards the bottom, because I had it. We have it at, I believe, 7 blitzes on. I don't know how the Cowboys would chart it. I believe 7 blitzes on Sunday against the Giants, but and we know not many in week 1 too. So it's got to be close. And again, playing without Deron Bland, the game plan might have been like, we've got to cover him up and we've just got to get forward. But the problem is you didn't cover him up. So, and you didn't get a lot of pressure. It's just, and this is another thing too. I spent a little bit of time over the past couple days going through and looking at, because we'll get what Bears people think about Eberflus when TC Fleming joins us here in a little bit. But like what Colts fans were even saying, and when he was a really good defensive coordinator statistically for the Colts, they're like, well, it was fine, but like we got a lot of turnovers. And if we don't get turnovers, give up a lot of yards to bad quarterbacks. It's the common theme that kept coming up, giving a lot of yards. And I think the Cowboys strategy now, especially with Micah gone, does not need to be that the other team just gets to keep the ball the whole game. I mean, that there are a lot of penalties there, but that 10-minute drive to start the game is like, oh, this is going to be a problem. And if we are going to go with the, a bend, don't break style of play, well, that's keeping Dak and the offense off the field. And I don't think that is how the Cowboys should play it. And again, it's week 2, plenty of time for adjustments to be made for, you start talking about tendencies and things like that. He deserves time to figure that out. You just get the Mike Nolan fear, especially this morning on over on the Fan when Jerry, I heard him use the term buy-in. I know you've got the tweet of the quote too, John, but Jerry talking about buying in, and that's one that bothers me a little bit because that makes me go, okay. And I could be reading into something Jerry's saying, which is a dangerous thing to do. But like he said, it as much as anything, it's a buying into the scheme. Well, that's not good. We don't need a buying into the scheme problem.
I got to cut you off though. I just really hope that anybody listening to this or whatever, again, kind of what I said to Saad about DeMarcus Lawrence, I laugh at anybody that thinks that just Micah Parsons just master fixes all of that. Obviously better, don't get me wrong. But a lot of these same problems were going on then. A lot of the same stuff. He was talking about the very next day. He would be burning it up if they lost that game on his podcast, whatever, Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever he was doing it, and possibly would say some things that threw some of the coordinator, including Dan Quinn, under the bus, believe me. So the idea that this is all because they traded Micah Parsons does make me laugh. I will say that. He would help, no question.
No.
But there were plenty of times where this communication stuff, the buy-in stuff, all of that was being said when he was around too. So I think it's bigger than just one player.
Well, and I think that's even more concerning to me. Like, if it's bigger than that, I think it's more concerning to me. What do we? Well, I mean, we're talking about just running.
Change it over in the offseason.
A lot of Donovan Wilson, playing.
You could probably
field.
fix it in the offseason.
Well, you tell me Deron Bland and Siobhan Ravel can't come here and save the day?
Or, I mean, you have multiple first-round picks. You are drafting corners. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're improving that secondary. You're doing this crazy thing. I can't even believe I'm about to say this out loud, but, actually investing like something notable in the safety position. That would be wild.
Wanye Thomas could get back there and get some snaps. Let's throw that out there. I'm just throwing out some ideas. I think we've known for a long time Donovan Wilson playing.
Linebacker needs help.
Not great.
I mean, Overshown can't get back fast enough.
Yeah. Do we have a feeling on Deron? It's Tuesday night when we record this. Feeling on Deron Bland for this week?
I thought for sure no, but Jerry said this morning that there's a possibility. So that seems kind of pushing it, but we'll see. For the way they sounded yesterday was like it's unlikely, but for Jerry to say that today, maybe that they got some positive news today or something, or maybe he was moving well when, yesterday late in the day or something. I don't know, or maybe he's just trying to be positive, but he wasn't like that when they asked about Turpin, so it made me think that like he had something, that he had heard something, so maybe.
Yeah, Jerry's injury diagnosis stuff, like, man, it can be all over. Like, after the game, he was talking about, like, with Cooper Beebe, I thought 6 to 8 weeks, like, no way it's going to be that long. He did say, like, he didn't know, but I thought it was going to be, like, 3-4 weeks based on his comments, not based on what Cooper Beebe looked like, because Cooper Beebe looked like it was going to be 6 to 8 weeks. But, it's always wild the way that he kind of gets.
But I will say, I mean, I got to defend Jerry on that. Like, when I asked him that question, he did not say, like, definitively that Cooper Beebe was fine. And he did say that Kevontae Turpin, like, he was way more positive about that one. So I was even surprised that Jerry didn't say more about Cooper Beebe in that moment. I thought for sure that he would be like, he's fine. He just needed we didn't take him to the locker room immediately, like he was able to sit on the sidelines and then was taken over there. And then you see him limping off. And then here's the other part about all of this. Like, what play? Like, that just shows you how crazy adrenaline is and whatever, because I've watched that whole game over on the television copy and the All-22. I don't know what play it even happens on. It just, all of a sudden he's out there, they score. And then on the next drive, Hoffman's out there with the group.
I saw it speculated. You can't even tell on that extra point.
Okay.
But you can't tell or see it up close.
Seeing him being helped to the locker room, like Saad just said, and then hearing that it's 6 to 8 weeks like this, and it's more than a high ankle sprain. It's like a foot deal where there's some type of a fracture there. All of that says to me, where's that moment where, I don't know, he's laying on the turf for 5 seconds. Even when that happens during a commercial, they'll come back and say, like, hey, it took Cooper Beebe a second to come off the field or something. Like, with that serious of an injury, how messed up his ankle and it looked after the game, like, I don't understand how that gets past, like, someone saying something. Like, there was never even any announcement or anything about him even being on the sideline or anything like that. I just noticed Brock Hoffman was out there and then standing by the locker room after the game was over, because I thought it would end at the end of the fourth quarter, not take 12 possessions into overtime. So I watched a lot of it on the TV by the locker room down there, because there's certain like rules about when they'll shut down the elevators and stuff. And next thing you know, you're missing out on Jerry. So it's way better to be down there early than to try and be like, I'm going to watch overtime and then I'll go down there. And the next thing you know, you got a new security guard that's never worked there before. They're not letting you go over there. Don't even get me into this.
Yeah, all I was saying, though, is Jerry's always, I think, in my experience, he's always been more optimistic.
For sure.
Like, he's always sounds more optimistic with injuries than sometimes.
No doubt.
Being, so,
so on a 1 to 10 panic meter, what does the loss of Cooper Beebe mean for this offense?
I would put it at like with 10 being high panic.
And being freak out, that's probably like a Dak is out for the year.
Probably like a 2 or 3. I mean, it's not because I don't think BB's very good. I just have confidence in Brock Hoffman to be solid. I think you're gonna get a couple of unnecessary roughness penalties added on to your ledger. Probably like a 3 or 4. Actually, I'll go about 3 or 4. But you'll probably stick a finger in someone's face mask, or
don't go full James Hudson. You're good.
If Jalen Carter spit on Dak when Brock Hoffman was a center, we probably would have broken into like a WWE fight or something. So,
that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, 4 or 5 sounds about right.
4 or 5. Oh, 4 or 5. Okay. Well,
I mean, he's probably been. I mean, other than, I don't know, you could argue he's been their best offensive lineman through the first 2 games. I mean, if you go off like Pro Football Focus grades.
I don't.
Yeah.
But
it's not like Terrence Steele's been. But I mean, even if you don't, has Terrence Steele been great? I mean, Booker shows flashes. I don't know that the consistency is there.
I'll tell you what, I didn't see a lot of Dexter Lawrence blowing up the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's one of the best defensive lines they will play all year. They'll get them twice. But like that's one of those things. I think there's a lot of criticism towards Terrence Steele and Tyler Guyton, and I think it might be somewhat fair, but dude, I think who you're playing does matter. And those are some dudes over there. So I don't know. And, but Dak played really well and all that stuff. So, what we didn't talk about while we're on the offensive line front? We didn't talk about the Tyler Smith signing. So let's spend a minute on that. Just see what were your thoughts on that. And obviously none of us are like surprised that happened, but do you like the deal?
Yeah, to me, that's about his layup of all layups. I mean, he checks every box. He's absolutely the type of person you want in the locker room. He's only 24. And he's already played at such a high level that you could see him doing this for a decade, unless there's some unforeseen circumstances. Obviously, we've seen with Travis Frederick in the past, but he's lined up to where, I mean, that is one of those positions that, I mean, I kind of put it kind of right there with quarterback. If you can find a good offensive lineman, you can get a decade of good play out of them, and he certainly seems like a guy that it would not surprise me at all if he's still playing at a high level into his 30s. So you got that. And then he's just the way he carries himself, the way he works, the leadership qualities. No brainer at all.
Yeah. To me, it's not only that, but you got an all-pro left guard or a Pro Bowl left tackle for that price. So depending on, how you, what kind of predicament you find yourself in the future, it's not like we're all completely sold on Tyler Guyton. And if you suddenly find yourself in a window in the future, I don't think this season is really it, but like in the future where you're just Super Bowl or bust type of year and your left tackle is not doing it, then you can always swing them out if you needed to. So, yeah.
Are you guys ready to reset the kicker market?
He should have done it already. They should have done this already.
Do you guys know what the
how are they going to do it already? Does he represent himself? Does he have one of the agents, the guys that just signed?
Yeah.
If all that stuff matters, man, I'm telling you, that's a big.
Yeah, he does. He does have it. Like Todd France is obviously his agent, and he's
going to give deals for sure. He's going to hook it up.
Do you guys know the highest paid kicker is?
No.
Harrison Butker. For $6.4 million a year. So
I don't think
you go 4 years at 28 for Brandon Aubrey. That sounds crazy. That sounds like that's a crazy contract. But yes.
Yeah.
And I don't that thing out until the very end because it's Todd France. Just watch.
Yeah, and I don't think Todd France gives deals, and that's not what I was insinuating at all. I just think that you get out in front and whatever, like if you need to make him the highest paid kicker, you don't have any question marks about him. And so you either want him or you don't. Again, it's kind of like that market's not going to go any lower. So to me, I would have gotten that deal done right around that time. They got Bland done. They got Tyler Smith done. Like I would have got.
Yeah, no, but that's where I disagree. I just don't think that his clients do stuff like that. Like you look at the guys, like all those guys that have gotten done in the last month, all of those deals have a little bit of where you're like, yeah, that works. That's pretty good for the team. Even Tyler Smith's, when you look at it, it's a 4-year extension on on what he's got 2 years left on his current deal. So if you average that out over the 6 years, if you factor in his rookie contract, that it's like in the low 20s what you're paying him per year. Whereas like, I don't think Todd France is going to. I think he'll want him to reset the kicker market, and it'll be something crazy. And it probably would have been 3 months ago or whatever. So maybe I don't know, but that's one part in there I know that they have not had a lot of success with. So I don't expect this one to get done in the next like couple of weeks, like you would have thought, because of all these other contracts.
Yeah, I don't
thinking-
either.
Yeah. I've been thinking ahead a little bit. That makes sense for George Pickens to be a franchise tag contender, right?
Also with kickers though too, there is a little bit of I don't hate wanting to see a little bit more. Not if they were going to take a team friendly deal or even something that's like kind of right in whatever. But if like I'm talking if the agent is looking for something that's like, $2-3 million more than whatever the next guy is, there is a little bit of me where I'm just like, I have seen I've covered the team when Dan Bailey walked on water, and there is just something about kicker where certainly, and then there's the ones of when these guys get drafted high, how quickly they don't even, Jake Moody, Roberto Aguayo, things like that. Like kicker is such a weird business. So I am interested to see how long this one plays out though.
You want to go down the Anders Carlson path. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Justin Tucker fell off a cliff too. It wasn't a gradual decline. It was, it was pretty swift. So I agree with that too. I just, I think, and to be honest,
everything changed. My thoughts on all of this changed before any field goals were even kicked. It was when I heard that he was moving over to Todd France, I was like, oh, this thing is going to drag. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's two things. I'm not surprised it's dragging. I just think I would have probably just gotten ahead of it and tried to and acquiesce to whatever they were trying to reset, because I think Todd France is going to end up getting that. Now, KT, you talked about Pickens with the franchise tag. I also think kicker is, if you don't have any other candidate that you really want to do that, kicker is a fine franchise tag option because, again, like that you're not breaking bank there either. So
the old Robbie Gould. All right, let's bring in someone who had a tough football weekend. But he's awesome, and he's going to give us some really great Chicago Bears insight. You know him from It's Just Banner. How about the Dirtbag Culture Hour podcast as well? Let's give that some love. He does a lot of stuff, man. You just kind of see him everywhere. It's TC Fleming. Hello, TC.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
I'm sorry about your football weekend. Notre Dame, tough, was pulling.
We're on to Seattle, Kevin.
We're okay. We're on to the next one. All right. TC, what is going on with Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears? What's really going on with Caleb Williams?
He's not the best quarterback in the league. He's also not the worst quarterback in the league. I would say that these two performances would have been probably somewhere above the middle of last year's. Neither of them have resulted in wins. There's certainly things that I wish that he would have done better, but I don't know. Outside, until the second half yesterday, we could say that the sack thing, which seemed like the most pressing problem, had really made some strides. And I just don't know that down 38-14 or whatever it was is the time to really rely on the pass protection there, Like that's kind of how you get to, I think it was 53 that he took last year. That's how you get to 53 is you just play down 28-0 for a while, and that'll just happen. But in competitive situations, the efforts to reduce the sacks by having a better designed offense and a superior talent in the front of the line or the middle of the line in front of him seems to be working. So that's good.
Yeah, see, I'm a big Caleb Williams fan, so I don't know if I'm going to get proven wrong on this one. And then I like Ben Johnson a lot too. So I thought this was going to be, and if you look at when Ben Johnson took over the play calling in Detroit, it's not like it hit the ground running. Like it took them a little bit to get it going. But I just think that those two are like such a good match for each other. And there's a part of me that would not be surprised at all if like he looks great against this Cowboys defense.
Yeah, it's an easy defense not to take shots, but it's an easy defense to do well against passing. I think this would be a great time for him to get healthy. You know, I feel like a lot of, at least in my head, a lot of the Caleb Williams debate has been defined recently by the big article that Go Long wrote about Caleb Williams. Do you guys refer to him as Go Long, Mr. Go Long? I only know him from exposing one of the great motivational speeches of all time. And he had a real big problem with that. So at that point I said, I don't know if I can trust this guy. And then he wrote this big hit job against Caleb Williams. And you familiar with all this?
Is this the same guy who did the McCarthy massage?
Ty Dunn, yeah.
Yeah. So just hatchet work left and right. That's his game. That's what he wants to do. And then big surprise, the Bears franchise is a big following, so he wants to gin up some controversy there too, and does it by going and interviewing all of the coaches that just got fired. So like whenever they're looking back over the fact that they're not working in the NFL anymore, and they sit down to say, well, was this kind of like something I did wrong? Could I have been better? Are there any lessons I can take in my life? Or is it just all the fault of the other people? And believe it or not, they settled bravely on the answer of the other people. And now they're talking to this guy about it. And, I don't love that. I don't think it presents an accurate picture. But the general thing is just so easy to imagine that, like, the guy that paints his nails and makes these carefully curated Instagram posts, that he might not care as much about the actual football playing parts as he does about, it's just cool to be quarterback and cool to live in LA and just kind of be able to go around and, hey, he gets to go to Fashion Week because he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. It's just the way he lives his life, and so far as we can see, doesn't strongly refute this narrative that there might be other things. But I don't know, like, you pair that with the other story earlier in the offseason in ESPN that he also got killed for, where he was saying that this is like through sources. It's not like he put this statement out or whatever, but the sources were saying that he said that the coaches never taught him how to watch film. And like, he, like I said, he got killed for that one too, but like that all feels related to me, right? Like, of he's not doing enough studying was the Mr. Go Long's point. And if he's saying like, I'm just sitting there in the study room, no one else comes in and says to do anything. So, listen, I'd like for him to figure it out. But whenever they asked Ben Johnson about it, he just got up there and was immediately like, yeah, we let everyone know every day what we expect of them and tell them how to do it. And then it gets done. And that, I don't know, that's the kind of thing where like the fired coaches just may never have put that one together, that you should have been doing that. And I believe, like, I want to believe about Ben Johnson that like all these accountability things are being instilled. But through 0-2, it's hard to feel total confidence that that's what's happening. But he seems a lot more professional than everyone else who's been involved with the organization go to this point forward. Although it's kind of weird from your guys' perspective, since then who I would be trashing is Matt Eberflus, who's now your defensive coordinator. But I don't know. The stuff he did with the defense was great. I think he's a really talented coordinator. If he's just one of those like lifetime NFL DCs, I think he's going to do a really good job everywhere he goes. And I think the Cowboys are lucky to have him. But, he did not hire an excellent offensive staff, and he did not, get done what needed to be done in terms of bringing Caleb along. So here we are.
I think one of the things with me that stands out with Caleb is that I think he acts a little bit the way he does because he's so talented and he can do so many things, and he's so elite at, like, to me, watching him throughout his time at USC, my favorite thing is when the play was absolutely effed. Like, he was at his best when, and I know, TC, you remember certain plays when they would play against Notre Dame. There was my younger brother's a big Notre Dame fan, so I watched Notre Dame quite a bit, and I just when things would break down, that's when Caleb would be at his best. And there was always a part of me that thought like he's this guy that has everything. He can do everything. And so he's always got that almost like an arrogance to him. Like, no, I got this. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. I'll get it done. Like where, there's some quarterbacks in the league, let's be honest, a Tom Brady, like even Dak, like they've had to like work a lot more for what they've gotten. They were late draft picks, things like that. They've had to overcome a lot of people doubting them. Who has really doubted Caleb Williams up to maybe like in the last year or something? Everybody has been like, this guy is the next one. Like he is the man. Like he's going to be, no matter, even in his last year at USC, when people would talk negatively about him, you're like, well, yeah, but he's still going to go number one overall, So I've always wondered how much that factors in with him as well.
Yeah, and also like the other thing for me also along those same lines is that's where the pairing with Ben Johnson was really interesting to me, because he's coming from a situation with Jared Goff where he's kind of what you're talking about. Even though he was a high draft pick and everything, I feel like he was a guy that you kind of want to contain. Like he's a great bus driver type, Alex Smith type quarterback, a better version, I would say, but like still, like he's not somebody who just has all the talents in the world. And I thought Ben Johnson did a really good job with him and working within Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery and the receivers and the tight end and the amazing offensive line. I thought Ben Johnson did great. Now all of a sudden, Ben Johnson, I feel like, is almost in an opposite role with Caleb Williams, where he has the quarterback that can do it all, but not necessarily the offensive line. I think the receivers are pretty solid, but he doesn't have all the other stuff around him. So I feel like it's almost like an exact switch for Ben Johnson and the way he has to approach it.
Yeah, those are all great points. I agree. Caleb has not been doing it all through the first two games. He's missing a lot of open guys, and just there's a lot of regular stuff that I'm sure that Jared Goff gets right that he's just not getting right now. But you'd like to see those Cowboys DBs fix all that for us, right?
There's a chance that could happen, and I think you could also you could wash away the Shane Waldron year and just start from scratch here. What do you perceive to be the strength and the weakness of the Bears defense?
Boy, I don't know.
It's tough too because it's Vikings with JJ McCarthy and the Lions. Like they're two probably really good teams, so it's kind of hard to know, right?
It's just hard to identify any strengths after giving up 52 points, Like there's things that before they gave up 52 points that I felt good about. I think the defensive line is in a vastly more talented place than they've been for a while, hypothetically. Like, if Montez Sweat is playing up to his paper, Gervon Dexter, they hit on him in the second round. He's really developing into something. The other defensive end spot, it's a free agent signing that is working out, I believe. And it just, before they traded for Sweat, which I guess was probably 3 seasons ago now, it was just no one who would start on an NFL defensive line. And yet they had 4 starters in theory. And so that's been a big upgrade. The linebackers are both free agent signings that are being paid a decent amount. And TJ Edwards and I just have a very bad memory these days for names. The Virginia Tech, Tremaine Edmonds. Jalen Johnson certainly seems like he's going to be out, so that's a pretty big difference. Just the whole secondary doesn't make sense if Jalen Johnson's not in there. If everyone else has to move up a slot, it's so yeah. I guess that would be my answer: defensive line strength, secondary weakness.
Yeah, when Nashawn Wright had a pick 6 on Monday Night Football, a Dan Quinn flashback right there. Wow.
Yeah.
I had to Google that and make sure. I was like, okay, what? That was a 3rd round pick. Oh, wow. The 99th pick in the draft. Wow. Okay. That was a shocker. And he's in the game, and we got the Hail Mary guy in the game, Stevenson.
Tyreek
right?
Stevenson. Yeah. And he's supposed to be the good one, like he's got to be their top ranked with Jalen Johnson's not in there. So yeah, I don't think that covering both CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens is something they're currently equipped to do. But we'll see.
Feel good about that. You guys have any more questions for TC, or you guys should start picking some games here?
If you could go back, would you rather have Ben Johnson or Matt Eberflus for another year?
I'd rather have Ben Johnson.
100 times out of
Just making sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean,
I wanted to get the temperature of Bears fans just to see how crazy they're getting right now.
I was hoping that he would win at least one of his first 2 games. I hope he wins a game at some point. That would help me a lot in my confidence level. But as far as head coaching candidates, like for several cycles, this has been the top guy. Like if there's any brilliant Sean McVay-esque minds out there for some team to be the ones lucky enough to hire, it's him. And I don't think that Sean McVay started 0-2, getting blown out 52-21. But, let's not judge him off of 2 games.
I've been also surprised in both games how like good they've looked on offense, and then it just hasn't been able to carry on. Like it's almost like the scripted plays. You're just like, oh yeah, this is Ben Johnson in Detroit. Like this is exactly what he was doing there. And then as the game goes on, it just seems like, I don't know if it's Caleb, I don't know if it's the offensive line, I don't know if it's the adjustments the other teams make, but it just gets stagnant after that for some reason.
Yeah, it doesn't like that. That's exactly what's happening. Is I think on both of the games, the opening drive they scored a touchdown, which I don't think that we did that twice total last year. So that's a big improvement. That's great. Then there's just a long period in the middle there where nothing happens, and I would think that's like, I'm not super concerned that Ben Johnson's incapable of that, because it's not like that was a problem the Lions ever had. The Lions were pretty good at continuing to make plays as the game went along. I would just wonder if just like there's not enough installed yet, like if they don't have a deep enough bag of tricks that whenever you see the first thing they're trying, like, are they drilled down on the second thing they're going to try and the third thing they're going to try? And are they executing that, in the fashion that you need to? It just doesn't seem like it yet, but that's the kind of thing that could conceivably be fixed with time. So I hope that's what happens.
When they drafted Luther Burden, all I thought of was, oh, this is exactly going to be the type of guy where Ben loves to throw to a receiver and then has another guy coming on the other side of the field coming over, and that receiver, after he catches it, pitches it to another guy, because how many teams are doing that in the NFL? It happens on Saturdays all the time, but in the NFL, and that's such a Ben Johnson thing that he was doing in Detroit all the time. And so, how they went so offensive heavy in the draft, I'm like, oh, he's setting up. He's going to be doing all this stuff. And to your point, I feel like that's probably in the bag. It's just he probably doesn't feel confident with the players yet to go to that level, to get to that second chapter of what he really wants to call. Because watching those first 2 games, like there's some stuff that looks like he did in Detroit, but not nearly the level of the playbook that he had, that I know that he's going to open up once he has the guys that he feels like he can trust.
Yeah. Burton got in there, had a great look, dropped it. So, it's just kind of how it's all been.
My confidence for Ben Johnson specifically really came from a conversation, John, you and I had last year, which was he's kind of the hotshot offensive coordinator, but he's one of the rare ones that's not like a Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan disciple. Like he kind of did this himself. Like, I mean, he comes from Miami, and then he kind of built himself through Detroit. And Dan Campbell is like one of your perfect, I think, CEO head coaches who had 2 coordinators who are basically the head coach of their side of the ball. So I still have a lot of confidence in Ben Johnson, because I don't think this is just some trendy, guy who saw this work out with Shanahan or McVay. Like Ben Johnson to me is the real deal. I agree with you, TC. Like, I think it is something where we need to see more of it unfold.
It is also funny that, like, to me, one of the worst NFL head coaches I've ever seen is Matt Patricia. And Matt Patricia hired Ben. That's whose staff. He was a holdover from Patricia's staff. It wasn't like that Dan Campbell brought him. So he is really of like his own tree, that there's not going to be anybody that can really say, oh no, are you putting him on Patricia's tree? Like, I don't know how many branches are on that, but he started as a quality control and then was tight ends coach or whatever like that. So he really came out of nowhere to be this guy where everyone was just like, man, where did this dude come from? And why does he have all these plays that nobody else can stop? And so, I don't know. I mean, he's not going anywhere in Chicago. So even if the first season gets off to a slow start or that, it would take me a while to think that it's not going to work out for him, especially offensively. I'm not saying that they're going to have games that aren't going to be 45-40. That could happen. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying that that offense not clicking yet. I don't think that'll stay that way very long.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you do see things that are working is evidence of that. Like I because there's long stretches in the middle of the games where Caleb doesn't complete a pass, I feel like everyone's going to laugh at me if I get too confident about where this is headed. But it just all does look a lot smarter and sharper than it used to. So I don't know. I hope we see more of that Sunday.
TC, let me ask you this, because normally the answer to the question I'm going to ask you is always the quarterback. But if things were stale in Chicago for an extended period of time, do you think Ben Johnson would outlast Caleb and the Bears give Ben Johnson a chance to draft his own quarterback, which never happens in Chicago in terms of, the coach getting his guy and stuff? Or do you think Caleb would outlast Ben in that scenario if that happened down the road?
I think they both got a really long leash. And if they both reach the end of it, then I think they're probably both gone. Even if this year's a disaster, I think that you bring back both of them without any question, right?
Yeah, no, I'm saying like down the road though. Like,
also a disaster. Like if you're looking at 7 total wins across 2 seasons between the pair of them, then I think they probably both get fired.
The only way I could see, well, not the only way, but one path I could see Caleb outlasting would be if Washington won the Super Bowl. And I think that Kingsbury's stock would be as high as it's ever been, and they would tie it back into Kingsbury would bring up, working with Caleb at USC and things like that. It seems crazy to think that Cliff would get back to that level, but if you tell me the Washington Commanders win the Super Bowl or are in the Super Bowl and Jane Daniels is like league MVP type, teams are going to be coming after Kingsbury. So that would be one scenario I could see potentially where they're like, and then Caleb possibly being all for that too. That would be the only one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
New York Giants, Cliff and Caleb find a way. Or Miami. Jeez. Miami maybe. Wow. Okay, let's get to picks so we can get this thing moving. I actually had the best week last week at 2-1. You guys were 1-2.
I'll brag about it.
We'll let TC start though. TC, Dallas getting a point and a half.
Bears.
Oh, all right. I'll go next. I'm going to take the Cowboys and the point and a half. Let's go to Kent.
Dallas.
John?
Cowboys 31-30.
Oh, wait. Yep. And Saad?
Give me the Cowboys.
Wow, hold on. So TC's the only one who picked the Bears?
You guys watched that Giants game and said, "There's a juggernaut that can't lose."
Hey, I'm not joking. The thing that my pick is hinged on is kind of what TC mentioned. It was when I heard that Jalen Johnson injury, because I look at their defense and I'm like, man, you take him off that defense, that really, like TC said, it drops a lot of guys into a slot that I don't know how great I would feel about that. So, yeah, that was actually one of my deciding factors.
Yeah, I don't think watching the Giants game, I felt like the Cowboys defense is going to do anything to Caleb. In fact, I believe the opposite. I think John mentioned this on our last plotters as well. But yeah, I think Cowboys can outscore their problems on defense.
Saad, Rams, Eagles. Rams getting 3.5 points.
Is that in Philly?
In Philly.
Give me the Rams.
John?
Philadelphia, they have to be, all right, I was going to say most confident team in the league, but I think the Packers are the most confident team. I think Philly's second for me, so I think they win by a touchdown.
Let's go, Kent.
I'll take the Rams.
I'm with John. I'm taking the Eagles until I see something else. I also, I think the Rams are like a put it together later type of team. TC.
Kyron Williams, hot for the Rams, as always. I think they roll easily.
All right. 3.5. You get there. We'll start with John on this one here. I was having trouble picking the elite third game, So I decided Monday night, but because the Lions just put up 50, I thought we should do Lions and Ravens. In Baltimore, and we have the Lions getting 5.5 points.
Yeah, Ravens win by double digits.
Oh, double digits.
Yeah, the Lions went there a couple years ago and just got absolutely destroyed. Now, it was like a might have been a noon game. Maybe it was a 3 o'clock. I don't know, but they got just absolutely destroyed. It's one of the worst losses I've seen them ever take. I don't think that they're beating the Ravens, not in Baltimore.
Okay, let's go to Kent right here.
Ravens.
Let's go to Saad.
Yeah, give me the Ravens, and I'm really starting to get interested in the Lions, not just because of John, but losing 2 coordinators and seeing the way that the media is grilling Dan Campbell now, as if like he's not the guy that just led one of the greatest turnarounds in the 21st century for a sports franchise. Like, it's kind of crazy to me. So I'm really interested now about the Lions and how they manage their coordinators.
All right, TC, close it out for us.
Ronnie Stanley's going to dominate the matchup against Aiden Hutchinson, and the Ravens will win easily.
All right, all of us got the Ravens -5.5. TC, thank you for joining us and getting us ready for the game, dude.
Thank you guys.
Is there anything you want to plug?
No, and I'd like to retract your plug for the Dirtbag Culture Hour. We haven't published an episode in months.
I've never heard a plug retraction before.
It it lives on, it doesn't have to just die and go away. It's still out there,
I'm editing a bunch of photos that I took from my big weekend in Chicago, so I'm going to plug my Instagram account, Thomas C. Fleming. Look for those to be posted soon.
Did you go to the
No, that's why I'm thinking of it.
Did you go to the Notre Dame game?
Yeah.
So I'm actually going up on Friday. I'm going up a little early. I'm meeting my brother. We're going to go to the Notre Dame Purdue game, so I'm looking forward
That's
to
a
it.
safer choice.
Yeah. Hey, would not surprise me. I'm being dead serious when I say this. Would not surprise me at all if they won out and still got in the playoff. Like, would not surprise me.
That would shock me. The defense sucks.
It does, but the rest of that schedule is just very, very winnable to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever been before?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Detroit, and so I drove down. This will probably be my 5th time being there. So yeah, I'm looking forward. It's my favorite Saturday college football environment.
Awesome. Cool. We'll have a good time.
TC, I'll see you Sunday. All right, there we go. For Saad, for John, for TC, told you to follow him on Instagram, and for Kent, of course, that Mad About Movies podcast. We'll talk to you Sunday, late or maybe early Monday morning. We'll talk to you around then. And if anything emergency happens, we'll break in with an emergency podcast as we always do. Thank you so much for listening to the One Star Cowboys podcast.
Hold on. The name of the hurricane is Hurricane Dick.